What is going on, Amazon sellers? Welcome to the new Amazon FBA Seller Q&A or AMA with myself, your host, Chris Grant, or Clear the Shelf over on social media. I'm live from sunny Central Florida and looking forward to doing this with you guys every day. We're going to try something a little bit new. What's going on, Luke, David, Juan? How's it going? Glad you could be here, Juan, live anyway. Going to be trying something a little bit new. All right. I am going to try to go live Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesdays, we'll be live at 5 with my co-host, Chris Rasick, to do the regular news and Q&A show. But the goal here is to try to answer any questions that you guys have, but also maybe bring you a tip or two wherever I can. So if you're here, welcome in. You're going to be seeing me a lot over the next month as I test this out and see how it goes. And then if it goes well, we'll be live every single day going into the 2025 season. So I'm glad that you could be here. And Luke, Candyman, what's going on? Luke, I know that in Florida, it is different than in Ohio. In Ohio, it is cold. Here in Florida, it got up into the 50s today. And while we did have a nice sunny day, it was time to bring out the $8 Kirkland signature hoodie because to Floridians, and I now consider myself one, having been here long enough, it was freezing. Jeanette, what's going on? Good to see you guys. Again, if you guys have questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. To be honest, it'll make my job a heck of a lot easier to be able to answer some of your guys' questions. And of course, I'll share a tip or two. I've got one that is a little bit fun for you guys today, at least relevant and timely. And of course, there'll always be a little piece of news here or there. So I'm going to answer one question and then I'll share a couple things with you guys. So David's curious, how do you recover from racking up high debt and a supplier who dropped you when they were well over 50% of your business? Also, other businesses have taken my time and focus creating dwindling inventory. So David, this is a really great question. And here's my opinion. My opinion is Amazon still worth your focus? It's okay if it's not. If you have other businesses that maybe you enjoy more, maybe are more profitable for you, like that's okay. It's not necessarily throwing in the towel. It's pivoting to something that may be more profitable, a better use of your time. And that's all right. But the other answer to this question is, well, sure, you got dropped by a supplier who was 50% of your business, but I'm sure that there are others. And I'm also sure that you have created some sort of standard operating procedures in your business so far so that you could maybe bring on somebody. Now, maybe that is someone who shares in profits with you, if that is a capability that someone may have. Maybe that is someone that you bring on who you just need to pay, and maybe there's still enough cash flow to be able to handle that. There are a lot of different ways that you could structure it. You got to remember, not everyone is like us. So when we go to hire somebody, we're not always going to find somebody who is maybe as money motivated as we are. The other people here, they might be really, really motivated by money and they want to see big numbers. Some people are just motivated by being able to have a job, being able to do something that's steady. Find out what motivates that person and create your incentive plan around that to keep them motivated. I'll give you an example. I am highly money motivated. Business to me is like a game. We get to try all of these different moves. And if it doesn't work, well, we're not really penalized. We can keep playing for the most part, as long as the wrong move doesn't put us in jail or something like that. And we can always come back and try again. However, there is, and the scorecard for me is seeing the digits in the bank account go up month after month a little bit. We've got a we've got a savings account and some other accounts where we try to put money every single month. And as long as I don't have to dip into those for some reason, then I am winning the game long term. However, I am also incredibly competitive, like to a point where I may need to seek therapy about my competitive nature. And so, if there is some sort of scoreboard where I can just dunk on other people due to maybe number of sales or something like that, that will also get my juices flowing. That gets the competitive streak coming out in me. And we can find those triggers for people who work for us. So I don't know. I hope you figure it out. I hope you either bring someone else on or decide that maybe you're going to put X amount of time into it per day. I'm sure with an hour or two per day of focus, you could probably replace that supplier who dropped you and be able to get back to where you want to be. All right, Juan, I know there's no perfect answer, but what does your forecasting replenishing process look like? I'm interested in understanding the thinking behind it. So, forecasting, I don't really do too much. Okay. I have not found any software that is great for forecasting. The forecasting softwares that are out there, even for large scale businesses, are really not that great. Even for private label businesses, they're really not that great because there is so many ups and downs. And maybe that's because maybe it's because we're not a Walmart, we're not a Target. We might sell a lot. If you sell millions of dollars a year, chances are you're moving a lot of inventory. However, on the grand scheme of things, things are up and down all over the place. Whereas with a Walmart or a Target, etc., it's probably a little bit more flat. They know what they need to replenish quite frequently because they have such a large supply chain that they can pull data from. So for me, honestly, when it's time to go sourcing, maybe once a week or twice a week, you go to the things that have gone out of stock. And for me, like Chris calls it, my pod, Chris Rasick, you guys all know him. Um, I'm a forever test buyer. So if I buy 10 on the first rounder, even let's say 20. So today I bought 16 units of an item. It was the first time I've ever bought this item. When I go to replenish that item, it's going to depend how quickly I sold those. So I'll go through and I'll see, well, okay, where were all of our sales for all these things? Did we sell out all within 3 days? Was it 3 weeks? What was it? And if I bought 16 and it was 3 days, I might double the order as long as the price stability is there. But it's a very manual process. I have not found a great way to automate any of that. I think it just needs to be something that gets checked frequently, either by you or you create a system for a VA to look over it. Claudia, is it too risky to sell under a listing where one seller changed the brand name with a fake brand name and there are other sellers on the listing? The brand name changed from 1 year to another year. So, sorry, if it was the actual brand name, let's say we're going to use a Walmart brand for example. If it was Equate and they changed it to Equate 2025, I would probably want to sell through and stay off of that listing because I'm potentially looking at an IP, a suspected IP claim, okay? A suspected IP violation. Now, if they change the title, for example, and they put in the title, let's say it's an Equate item, but they've changed the packaging from 2024 to 2025, and they put in there Equate 2025, et cetera, and so on in the title, I'm more likely going to stick with that. So that's something, unfortunately, I would really need to look at to be able to give you like a perfect example. Felix, what's going on? Glad to have you here. Flink, when the sellers are matching the billing address with the shipping address to avoid order cancels, are we anticipating potential issues with a possible Section 3? So when the sellers are matching the billing address with the shipping address, okay. So let me lay this out a little bit. So if I'm ordering something from from Target, from Walmart, wherever, okay, and I have my billing address set as my prep center, and I match my credit card billing address over there, and I'm matching the billing and the shipping address on the order, okay, because it's going to my prep center. Is that an issue if you get a Section 3? The answer is no. However, you are going to need to make sure to draw that line for Amazon. So when I went through my Section 3, what I did is I actually had an agreement in place with my prep center, and I was able to show them, hey, here's my prep center. Here's the name of my prep center. Here's the address of my prep center. Here's the agreement of what they do for me. And this is where all of my items get shipped. You'll also notice that it's a ship from address inside of my Seller Central account. That way, they were able to kind of see everything put together, and there was no issue whatsoever. So, should not be a big deal there. Excuse me. Candyman, what's going on? If Amazon regated some of my brands, but I still have active listings in the brands, could I still replenish the active listings? If you are ungated on those particular listings, chances are you probably could replenish those. Yes, absolutely. Um, Sometimes regating is not necessarily just on a brand level. Sometimes it's on an ASIN level as well. Um, and the question here by Laveau is, why is Amazon regating most of the ungates? So we've talked about this on our Wednesday lives, and we can't know for sure. There's no way for us to be able to say, here's what Amazon is doing. This is what they're telling us. What we can do is we can ruminate on it. We can come up with some ideas, some conspiracy theories, if you will, about what may be causing these regatings. And there are a couple of theories. One, it's a mistake. Someone flipped a wrong lever and it caused regatings, and we just don't know what's happening. The other is, well, Amazon is regating brands and making people get ungated again because they're so worried about the counterfeits that are on the platform, and they really want to clean that up. Some sort of soft Section 3 to make people prove that their supply chain is clean. But we don't know for sure. All right, Flink, are the bundled packs, the bundled packs or listings considered problematic when they are created by purchasing individual items? Will they pass a Section 3 audit and debundling? So debundling, I am not really worried about. If I buy a 3-pack from Walmart, tell you what, I'm going to use macaroni and cheese as an example. If I go to the store and I buy a 3-pack of Velveeta macaroni and cheese in a 12-ounce box, I don't know if that's the real size. I think it is, but I buy a 3-pack of Velveeta macaroni and cheese at the grocery store, and I cut open that plastic on the outside, and instead I ship in the single mac and cheese units, the 3 boxes, okay? That is not an issue to me. It's going to have the UPC on it. It's going to match the listing exactly. Everything is good. Now, on the bundling, on the other hand, that is now against Amazon terms of service. Amazon has stated, we don't want bundled listings, especially in grocery category and things like that. I'm a little less fearful of them in, say, health and beauty beauty and personal care or health and household. I'm still selling on those bundled listings. But on grocery, I'm really trying to stay away from any bundles. I'm still doing some multi-packs until they kick us all off the listings, because those are technically, if they're not a multi-pack created by the actual manufacturer, then technically they're against Amazon terms of service. And this is another reason why I preach a shallow and wide method of sourcing. You need to be diversified, not just for brand gating, but also Amazon changing their rules. Amazon has always said that bundles are sort of in this gray area. And now this year, they've come out directly and said, nope, that is not okay. All right. And having a wide but shallow catalog allows us to diversify against some of these changes. Do you have a good way of saving, Jeanette? Sorry, Jeanette. Do you have a good way of saving the leads we get that we may not buy yet? Maybe you can use RevSeller with Google Sheets. Need to learn that. So if you want a free method is going to be uh, Google Sheets, and you could have a buy sheet, and then you could have another sheet that is maybe I'm not going to buy these right now, but I want to come back to them later on. That would be just fine. That's probably going to be your best bet outside of using some sort of software, which there is. The software I use is CheddarSoft to keep track of my entire database of leads. And then there's also Replen's dashboard, I believe, as well. Chris Rasick, what is going on, man? I can't believe you showed up here to watch this on your day off. What I want to take a moment, and it was Chris's birthday yesterday. My superannuated co-host. I won't say how old he turned. That's up to him. But he was on this rock for another swing around the sun. So happy birthday to you, man. I hope you enjoyed your day. But Chris asks, is it true that items sell on Amazon in the other 3 quarters? Why do so many sellers talk about stopping or too late to send shipments in? And I know that this question is tongue in cheek, but Chris is absolutely right. Number one, there's a couple things to think about. Okay. Number one, Q4 does not end on Christmas Eve here in the United States. Q4 will go on through about the middle of January. We're going to have that wonderful gift card season, which will be very, very good. But sales don't stop. Like anybody who says, "Oh, I'm going to stop sending into FBA around December 12th," that is a bad move unless you want to have a bad January. And in my opinion, this is one of the biggest reasons that people have problems in January and February and think about quitting, because it only looks like returns. It looks like poor sales, high returns because of the holiday season. And you need to be able to wash out those returns with some new sales and then hopefully get some of your money back on those returns by reselling them. But things absolutely sell outside of Q4. Laveau, do you think some brands will go back to 10 units instead of 100 after Q4? Yeah, it's always possible. Now that one, so Laveau is talking about getting ungated. Okay. And sorry, guys, we may end up having to save today's Keepa trick for tomorrow because I promised my wife a strict 30 minutes. But Laveau is talking about getting ungated and needing 100 units on an invoice. Now, typically, what they're talking about is if they're trying to get ungated with an Amazon invoice, because you can use a receipt, an invoice from Amazon. I always suggest using a business account if at all possible, because the invoice is really nice and neat. Put your business name on it, everything like that. And if you use an Amazon invoice, chances are you're going to have to use 100 units on your invoice. Does that ever go back? I'm not 100% sure. Now, there's 2 reasons for this. One, it's kind of Amazon making you pay a little Amazon tuition to get ungated. But the second thing is that if I were Amazon, I'd be like, hey, I need to make the hurdle a little bit higher, because these people are buying 10 units and then returning them. Now, you have 2 risks there. One is you risk losing your account with too high of a return rate, but I don't think some people think about that. I know some people who have flown too close to the sun with that kind of thing. And so they're making people that going from 10 to 100 says, oh, well, if they're not serious, then they're not going to buy 100 units because they know if they return 100 units, they're going to be in trouble. But honestly, I actually like Amazon doing that. I think that there should be hurdles. Amazon FBA is already one of the easiest business models to get into. It's a heck of a lot easier than the quote unquote easy business models that you see others promote on money Twitter. Starting a lawn care service, starting a painting business, starting a power washing company. Imagine having to go out and buy a truck, a trailer, a power washer, a generator, or all those other things that you may need, a water container, if you don't want to use the water coming from someone's house, chemicals, all those things, just to start a power washing business with no customers. Right now, you could bootstrap that and you could go rent all that equipment after you got your first customer and save your way to buying all of that equipment. But that would still cost more than spending $100 on inventory and selling it on Amazon. So I'm actually okay with Amazon putting some higher hurdles in places to kind of flesh out the guys who are just playing and not really taking this seriously. Is Fenty becoming a problematic brand, or is it just my account? Used to be able to sell them, but the listings changed to restricted. This is a good question. I haven't really noticed on my own account. Fenty has blocked me, so I don't really check on their listings very often. But you know what? Let me just pull up Amazon and open up a Fenty listing and see what I can find. We'll open up 4 or 5 of these here. Oh, that's not Fenty. That's a different brand. There we go. Let me check these. Well, Luke, I hate to say it, but it might just be your account. On the 5 Fenty listings that I've opened, I can sell on all 5 of them. So it might just be one of those brand gatings for you, or hopefully maybe just ASIN gatings. Excuse me. Chris, was there communication from Amazon anywhere that said they were moving to 100 units to Ungate, or is it anecdotal based on seeing 100 pop up occasionally? I don't recall ever seeing official communication from them. I think it's just anecdotal, because I've also seen other people still get the 10 units, but then send in the invoice and Amazon state you need 100 units. I've also seen some listings where it says 50 units. And so I think it is anecdotal. I have not seen official communique. John, I have thousands in inventory from Sephora and got randomly hard gated on Saturday. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Here's my hope. Okay. We are seeing that people are getting their gated products back. So hopefully that comes back for you. I have not heard too many people say that they're having issues with Sephora. Let me go ahead and check on a few Sephora listings for myself. Not a gift card. That is not going to be helpful. Let me check that one. I know that there was also an issue with, I believe, some sort of beauty advent calendar. But I believe that was a legitimate IP issue where whoever created it may have just copy pasted the listing directly from Sephora themselves. Yeah, no, I'm still okay to sell Sephora. So hopefully that will come back for you. If not, I would give it. So Saul over on Twitter, if you're not sure who Saul is, he teaches the Amazon to Amazon Flips course. Good friend, has been on the podcast a couple of times, but he posted that he waits 10 to 14 days before really freaking out about these kind of things, because oftentimes we find that it ends up being some sort of mistake and things come back. So as much as you may want to get irritated, frustrated, or make some sort of rash decision, I would hold off. Give it a week, give it 10 days. and then start making a plan. And I know that sucks for holding, that there are going to be holding costs involved. And you're going to have bills due. You want to get sold through your inventory. I get that. It's much easier to give that advice than it is to take that advice. Yeah, I got a lot of days to do that. I'm gonna keep this 30 minutes fairly strict. Miguel, I'm sending FBA shipments every week from Prime Zero Prep, but listing everything FBM for a week. If it isn't sold is sent FBA. That is a genius move. If your prep center allows you to list FBM while the items sit there for a FBA shipment, that is a great move. And matter of fact, I need to talk to my prep center. Seen some crazy 808 returns. That doesn't surprise me at all. Tadao, question, sir. Sir is my dad. Mr. Grant, I'm just Chris. Tadao, if you had to choose one between the OA Challenge and Keepa Academy, which would you suggest? Excuse me. Tadao, if I were going to choose something, it would probably be OA Challenge. And the reason is that is more of a holistic course. It teaches a lot of what we teach in Keepa Academy. We just are not able to go quite as deep. And it also teaches sourcing strategies, manual sourcing, reverse sourcing, all the things that we've talked about for years and years. And it also teaches some automation. Misa, thank you. I appreciate that. Trying to go with hat less frequently. Copy pasta. Copy pasta is old school internet speak for copy paste. Copy paste often got misspelled as copy pasta in forums and in things like AOL Messenger, which is now making me look pretty old. And so copy pasta is just leet speak, if you will. Are there any legit ungating services you can recommend? Hey, this is a great question. I'm glad you brought this up. And I SNG. So don't ever pay anybody to get ungated. All right. Number one, you cannot be 100% sure that they're going to do things above board and by the book. So let me give you an example. There was a time when ungating services were offering you invoices, and I'm sure that there are some that still do that now. The problem was if Amazon ever looked into those invoices, there was no real purchase behind those invoices, and you could get in trouble. All right. So what I would be doing is just go to my website, cleartheshelf.com, look at a few of the blog posts. There's going to be a pop-up, all right? One of them is an ungating guide. Read that ungating guide, do it yourself, buy the items legitimately. You don't have to go through wholesalers. Many times you can use retailers, especially the larger retailers, and get ungated. All right. It is not nearly as hard as it was when I had to go get ungated. It's really just a matter of being persistent. Hey, John, does anyone have a YouTube channel that's willing to do an updated inventory lab video? Most of the ones I see are pre-shipping changes. I know someone who's going to be coming out with some inventory lab videos soon. And it's Charles Leslie. I know he's going to be updating some here very shortly. All right, guys, 5 more minutes and we're going to wrap this thing up. All right, Flink, what categories that were once good are now problematic? I heard that beauty is now a headache. Are you in that category? I happen to love beauty. Okay, so here is there is a saying. I'm going to get it right here. So there's a saying by Charlie Munger: buy when there is blood in the streets, even when the blood is your own. And I'm sorry, that's not Charlie Munger. That's actually from Baron Rothschild. but Charlie Munger had a very similar statement. When everyone is complaining about something, that is typically when I want to go toward it. Okay. You want to zig when others zag. The reason that's a cliche is because it is true. All right. Sorry, I don't see a Charles Leslie pertaining on YouTube for Amazon people. Look up Side Hustle Network. Side Hustle Network is who that is. Or shoot me a message and I'll get you a link. But when others are zigging, you want to zag. So I actually love the beauty category. Is it getting more difficult? Sure. All categories are going to get more difficult as they mature. That is just the nature of a marketplace. And that is the network effect that we're seeing in real time. So brands are getting gated. There are brands like Estee Lauder who wants to take things back in-house. There are brands like Clinique that want to shut off third-party sellers and be able to hold on to their brand equity and all kinds of things. But there are thousands and thousands of other brands on Amazon that you can still sell. However, again, wide, okay, shallow and wide is how you should source. That's just another term for diversifying. You should not be brand dependent. You should not be category dependent. That is the way that a business, gets put on the ropes when things get tough. Okay, at least an Amazon business. All right, go shallow in your buys. Be a perpetual test buyer, like Chris always says. Go wide across categories. Go wide across brands. That way, if one brand is shut off or one category gives you a little bit of trouble, hopefully that's only 10, 15, maybe 20% of your total catalog, and you can get through it no problem. John, there you go. You got it there. Side Hustle Network. Jeanette, thanks for all you do. Hope you have another gathering next year. Yeah, we definitely will. It's becoming a good time. All right, guys, it is 6:03. We're going to have to call it there. I've got a cool Keepa tip for you tomorrow. So tune back in at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, and we'll see you there. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow.